All right, Jessica and Elle, thank you girls so much for helping facilitate this today. And I also want to say thank you to the Augustine Educational Foundation and Sacred Hearts Academy Honolulu, because it's super cool that we're able to meet like this and to meet for free. So thank you everyone who helped put this together. Thank you guys for joining. Rule of 2 feet applies. So if this is not what you were hoping for, feelings will not be hurt. Please skedaddle if you need to or if you want to. I'm super excited to get to see all of the sessions that I wasn't able to attend today. So you'll be able to access this one as well when it becomes available on the iTeach808 website. So my name is Nicole Goff. I work at Mid-Pacific Institute in Manoa. I'm one of our 2 librarians, and I get to cruise with pretty much all of our kiddos, preschool through 12th grade throughout the school year. We do have one poll question, which I will load in just a moment. But the way I want to structure our time together is like this. I am going to share a little bit with you about what Padlet is, how I have seen it used in my experience, and then I'm going to actually make one for you guys to play with. I will say up front that to make your own, you do need to have an account. Padlet.com is the place you want to go to create that. And if your school has a subscription, then it would probably be padlet.org. The free subscription allows you to make 6 Padlets at once, and I believe a school subscription is unlimited. So you can chat with your tech folks, chat with your admin to find out more about that. I am allowed to say that right now our school does have a subscription. I think that subscriptions for schools, they're called a backpack, and they're weighted by number, like how many users you anticipate having. We have a little over 500 users right now, and that includes teachers and students. And I think it's $2,000 a school year. But the Padlet folks are absolutely wonderful to work with. So chat with them, chat with the folks at your school to see if this is something you want to invest in. Otherwise, the free version is awesome as well. And with that, I think we're ready to get started. I kind of would like to know with whom I am chatting. So our poll question, which I'll launch in just a moment, I'd love to know what grades you teach so I can maybe, figure out if there's something I don't need to share or something I should probably delve a little more into. So launching poll right now. What grades do you teach? I kind of tried to group them, but if you find yourself like me, getting to see a whole bunch of grade levels, then that final option is the one for you. More than one or all of the above. Oh, people are participating. This is great. Right on. Oh, I'm happy to see some upper high school. Very cool. Alrighty, friends. Thank you so much for participating. In case you're wondering, here are the results. All right. Well, that's pretty cool because I was planning on sharing at least 2 different Padlets that I have helped create, and they kind of fall right into those grade levels. But I also have another question, and it's not a poll. It's one that I would like you guys to use the chat with, pretty please. Could you let me know on a scale of 1 to 3 how familiar you are with Padlet, 1 being not at all, and 3 being I use it all the time, pretty please. So let's use our chat feature to answer that. How familiar are you with Padlet? Oh, huzzah! This is great, guys. All right. So what I am going to do before I launch into showing you guys how to make a Padlet and allowing y'all to play with one is I am going to share in the chat, and then I'll show it on the screen briefly for our folks who might be watching this on their own, the link to a document I created that walks you through creating your Padlet. So it's assuming you've already made an account. Do let me know if it doesn't work. It should open in your browser as like a PDF preview, but you can also download it as well to have it for your very own self. So there's that link, and now I'm going to share my screen finally. All right, so here I am. Oh, in Padlet, and let me just show this real fast. So this is a document that you guys should have been able to open from the chat. Very quick, how to create a Padlet. This bit.ly right here, folks, if you are watching on your own, this will be the short URL you can use to access this, this document. So you don't have to type in this very long, ridiculous URL. So I'm gonna not actually teach from this, but if you guys want to follow along with it, you can. But it is exactly what I'm going to be showing you guys. It just obviously goes a little more in depth and explains some features in case I run out of time. So what I'm showing you guys right now is my work Padlet dashboard. The dashboard is where you get to keep all of the Padlets that you create. Depending on your browser, some of the features on the screen may look a little bit different. So I've got two menus going on. Right underneath where it shares a little happy thing. Every day it changes. It's super cute. You have these really cool buttons to make a Padlet, to join one that someone else has made, a gallery, which shows you different Padlets that the folks at Padlet have made, so you can kind of see all the different templates and how they work. And of course, depending on your account, you would be able to manage people. So this is where I go if I, have a colleague who wants to have a Padlet account, and I can add him or her there. The menu running down on my screen on the left-hand side, recents. So again, because I am within our school's backpack, I can see recent Padlets that other colleagues have made. But within the made feature, these are the ones that you yourself have made. And then of course, shared like archive, these would be the ones that you have specifically out of the ones you've created. Maybe you have added that tag to. So first I'm going to show you a couple of Padlets that I've already created so that you can kind of see how Padlet works. Padlet is super fun. And of course, with all of these amazing tools coming out that allow for distance and virtual learning to be a little more accessible for folks, Padlet just, I think, fits right in perfectly. There are so many great features that allow for collaboration and student voice. But it is an online tool, obviously, kind of like an interactive bulletin board. And as I'm saying those words, I feel like there's another tool out there that's very similar, but I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, Padlet is a place where I can share instruction, I can get student feedback, students can create their own little, videos and stuff like that. So you'll get to see what it's like in just a moment. For our younger folks, I'm going to open up my K-2 Padlet. This is an example of a Padlet that's structured in columns. So last year when the schools closed, that didn't mean that school was over. And unfortunately, with our campus closed, we weren't able to visit for, story time and stuff like that. So what we in the library did is we put together this Padlet where students, specifically this is for K-2, so towards the end of the year, we do, and I'm sure all schools do, parent-teacher conferences. So what do we do with our kids while this is going on? So we made this place for the kiddos to kind of structure their own learning for those 20 to 30 minutes when mom and dad maybe were in conference with their teacher. So students could tap on these links to get to, story time, art, so you can link stuff that you find online. You can also make your own little videos and embed them in the Padlet. So this is one example of a Padlet where there's no editing allowed. I have made this, but it's more or less static for my viewers because I don't want anybody to accidentally delete anything. So this, again, is an example of a K-2 Padlet where it's kind of static. On the other end of the spectrum, the librarians at Mid-Pacific get to work with our IB students, and for our IB juniors, we see them throughout the entire first semester for their extended essay, sort of setting the foundation for their research. So this was a Padlet I created as we were starting that research process so that we could get student input and student questions, and then we, the librarians and their IB coordinator, were able to respond to them. So this is an example of a Padlet where the editing features are completely open. Whoever has this link can add a question And you'll notice as I hover over them, I can, you know, edit them, or I can delete them, or I can open this feature here because I'm the one who created it. But because of my settings, which you guys will see in just a moment, if I was a student and I was sent this link from Miss Goff, I would simply be able to add a question, and then people can add comments to it. So that's another really cool feature that you guys will see in just a moment. So the very last thing, no, I think I'll remember to mention that in just a moment. One thing though that I do want to point out, you'll notice at the top of my screen, every Padlet opens in a new tab. I'm working on a laptop right now. You'll notice that these three Padlets here have that kind of pink and green sort of stained glass effect. That's like the Padlet default icon. But when you are setting up your Padlet for the first time, you can change that icon. So you'll notice these other two tabs here for my library book talks and my elementary ebook Padlet have these little stars and shiny things. Those are just icons, little features that you will be able to play with in Padlet as well. So let's get started. I'm back at my dashboard. And for the purposes of this presentation, I'm going to make Padlet. And in just a moment, you guys are going to be able to edit it. So what we're seeing here, and again, all these steps are featured in that document that I shared earlier. What we're seeing here are a few of the different, what I call canvases or templates for the different types of Padlet that Padlet offers. The cool thing is that if you're not really sure like how the timeline is supposed to look, this little preview feature, if you tap on it, you will be able to see an example of a Padlet. At our school, I want to say in 7th grade, while the students were learning about like the history of NASA, this is how they kind of structured the part of their the end result of their research. So, you know, Sputnik, the Galileo probe, the Hubble Space Telescope, how did those all sort of create this whole history of space exploration? And so that would be how this, this might be used. So that's just an example. For now, though, I'm going to select the very first feature. It's probably the one I use the most, and it's called the wall. You'll notice it's very similar to the grid, where everything's going to kind of be, you know, structured in this block, but the grid is going to move stuff down and always start on the same level, while the wall is going to fill in any empty space with smaller and more recent posts. So I'm going to say select, and this is where we decide all of the features on how our Padlet looks and how our Padlet is shared. So you'll notice my fierce Padlet, I have a little description here. You can change that, okay? Padlet folks are super, super cute and creative, but let's make this a little more appropriate for what we're working with. So I'm going to title this iTeach808 test description. Let's try this out. All right, so here's the icon feature that I was talking about earlier. I'm going to leave it blank for now, but the address, this is something that if you're going to use Padlet with your students, you will definitely want to make a little more, a little bit easier to find. So the Mrs. Goff part of this is because that obviously is my username, but I can change this to iTeach808. That should be okay, unless someone's made one before. We can play with our wallpaper. Maybe I just want something a little bit, you know, solid and easy to work with. Woohoo! You can add your own, you can play with your color schemes, play with your font styles, attribution. So again, if you are working with students or colleagues who have a Padlet account, this will include their name on their post. And I'll show you an example real fast. Over here, I have a book club, or sorry, no, this is from one of my classes. And so you'll notice that some of these posts simply say anonymous. That student may not have been signed into his or her Padlet account, but you can see other names here because those students were signed into their Padlet accounts, and I was allowing the attribution to show. Obviously, if you don't want their names to appear, but you are trying to keep up with, you know, who is adding to the Padlet, if you need to give them credit for something, then just encourage them to sign their name at the bottom of their post. You can decide how the posts are going to be organized. So is the new post first or the new post last? Are comments allowed? I'm going to allow them for this one. And the reactions feature is also really cute. So you can allow people to like posts or to give posts a star. Unfortunately, you can't allow more than one, but so we'll just allow likes. Finally, these two features will make it so that if you are allowing students or colleagues to post on your Padlet, but you want to check their work first before it is edited, or sorry, before it is published, which is what I did with the book talk one with my students, then you will toggle on require approval. This does mean that you have to keep up with your Padlet. I really don't like notifications, so I do not ever have notifications set, and I honestly don't know if Padlet does notifications, but if you set your Padlet so that you need to approve people's posts before they're published for everyone participating to see them, then you will need to keep up with your Padlet and either encourage them to go back and edit it or hit approve. And the filter profanity feature, this is pretty cute. So this is where I'm going to show you an example. I've always toggled this on just in case, because I work at a school, but I've never seen it in action until yesterday when I was finally like, I would like to know how that works. So this is an example one that I made recently. And I typed in a bad word, it's 4 letters, it began with an S. And when I hit, when I hit post and then I refreshed the page and I opened it in a new, yay, responses. I opened it in a new, a new browser. I wasn't signed in or anything. This is what appeared. So this is what will happen. Honestly, I didn't go through like the whole library of bad words. But for that special one, that's what happened. So that's pretty cool, I think. Super fun times. All right, so back here, once all of these features are set to your liking, and yes, you can always go back and edit them, you can say next. You're all set. Post to your heart's content. But maybe there are a few other things you want to play with, like how are my people going to access my Padlet? And I think the most important privacy feature is who will be allowed to edit or post on the Padlet, and what will they be allowed to do? So your sorry, I hit the back button, but we're going to say start posting. So your editing features are always going to be in the upper right-hand corner. And there's actually an app, a Padlet app. Our students have it on their iPads. They've used Padlet before. In fact, our 6th graders, in lieu of their first semester celebration of learning, during which time parents would actually come onto campus and see what the 6th graders have done, they created a Padlet. So each homeroom had a different column, and then the students within those homerooms all created like a 3-minute iMovie about, my life as a 6th grader, a day in the life. And then they posted it on the Padlet so that parents could see, oh, this is what she's doing and this is what he's doing. So all of those type of sharing features I'm going to go over now. So your options to edit are always up here. The remake, I believe, is just if you wanted to do this for another class. So again, with the free version, you get 6 Padlets. With the backpack, I believe it's unlimited. But if I've already set these, settings for one and I need it for 2 or 4 other classes, then I can simply copy this Padlet. The gear icon is where you'll see everything we just did. So you can always go back and change your wallpaper and stuff like that. But the share feature, this is the other important part. And this is also in that document that I shared with you guys. So adding members, again, if you're working with a colleague and he or she has a Padlet account, David Wee is my co-librarian. So what you're doing is you're having to search for them by their Padlet username or their email account, because that is how you're making your account with Padlet. So if you don't know his or her username or email, you will need to contact that person in real life to find that out. The default is writing. So I can allow Dave to simply write on this, or I can make him, I can allow him to have editing features, or I can make him an administrator. It kind of depends on how much freedom you want to allow those other people who are going to be touching your stuff. All right. So I'm going to say cancel for that. Yes, we can discard and close. So now I'm back within this original share menu. And this feature right here, guys, this is the important one. The first stuff that we dealt with in that original panel that opened up was kind of how everything is going to look. This is who is going to touch your stuff. So the default privacy setting is visitors can write, but it's a secret. Like someone, I guess, Googling Mrs. Goff's Padlets is not going to find this. You can always tap on anything pink in Padlet and it will open up a new menu. So private, I'm assuming that would just be if you were making this only for your selfish self. Password would be, obviously, I want people to access it, but you know, it has to be password approved. Secret, like I said, is the default, and then organization wide would be those Padlets that like I can see Miss Boncalis' Padlet that she made earlier because it's within our school backpack. So I usually keep mine secret. That's actually what we were advised to do when we started using Padlet as a school. But these visitor permissions, this is where you are going to want to sneak in and change stuff if you don't want people to write. So again, that very first Padlet I shared that was for our kindergarten, first and second graders during parent-teacher conferences, that setting was read. All they can do is open it up and open links. They can't move stuff around. They can't comment on anything. They can't accidentally delete something. Writing, obviously, that's what I'm going to allow you guys to do in just a moment. So that's the default again. And then again, editing. So viewing posts, adding posts, just like writing, but they can, if you allow editing rights, then other people can edit and approve other people's posts. Not quite the same as an administrator. They can't like completely delete the Padlet itself, but they can touch other people's things. So I think writing is the safest way to go if we are, you know, sort of working individually together. All right, so I'm going to go back. Now, these other sharing features, I honestly haven't played with them all, but getting the link to share, you can embed the Padlet depending on the template or canvas style you choose. It might show up differently depending on how you embed it. And then, of course, if you really want to have a tangible copy of it, you can print it as well. But I bet you guys are anxious to start playing. So I'm happy with all of these settings. I'm going to say close. And when you guys open this, I'm going to share the link in the chat in just a moment. This feature here is how you are going to edit. So again, if you're working on your iPad, the screen should look the same in the lower right-hand corner. Again, everything pink in Padlet, you should be able to tap and open. And you can tap on this feature and you can start typing something. So like that's your title, and then you can write something here, but this wonderful ellipses menu will open up a whole new list of different features. So if you guys want to take a really quick, you know, video of yourself, you can introduce yourself. If you need to share, you know, the link to your Goodreads page or something like that, snap a picture of yourself, do a voice recording. Film is how our students and myself were sharing book talks. So many different options. So I'm going to allow you guys some time now to play with this Padlet, and I will share this in the chat. So hopefully all of my sharing settings are correct. You guys can go ahead and tap on that link, open that up, and I'm excited to see what you come up with. And please feel free, while we are playing with this, go ahead, unmute, and ask me questions. Oh, look, CCC, I must have that set. I'm going to approve that. But I'm going to go back into my settings real fast and change that feature so that I don't have to approve what you guys do. I totally trust you. But I'm kind of glad I set that up so you guys can kind of see what that looks like. So I'm going to say require approval. I'm going to toggle that off. And you'll notice if you're watching my screen right now, anytime you change something, anytime you change one of your settings in the menu on the right-hand side, that little pink save button is going to appear. And so there we go. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to approve everybody's, and hopefully now, maybe you have to refresh your page, but hopefully now your postings should simply appear and I don't have to approve them. I'm going to refresh this page as well. And while you guys are playing, go ahead and like people's comments. Aw. Hello, Anonymous. Ooh, very cool. So I just opened up this link. I do wish that this was not like the default image or icon for when someone posted a link. What I have found myself often doing is if I have shared a link in the past, link example, I've typed in the text, copied that link, and I think I should be able, so see how I have tapped on the word text? I've tapped on it twice so that I get that little menu open up. And there is my link feature. I'm going to enter my URL. I'm going to say link. And so now you can see what I have typed. But again, everything pink is a link in Padlet. So this is an example of how you can do. Oh, I like the GIF. Well done. Do they allow loud? Do they allow loud laughing in Hawaii? Is this your joke? Or just aloha? Oh, yes, that deserves a heart. Oh, yay, and someone has found the drawing tool. This is excellent, guys. So this is all I had planned for this presentation. I wanted to allow time for folks to play, for folks to, discover and ask questions. If you guys are happy, I am happy, but I will also stick around in the event someone wants to unmute, not be shy, and let us know what you think. Oh,
well, hi, Nicole. This is Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi. Here, I'll turn on my video so you can see me. Oh, so I just had a question because I remember using Padlet, maybe 5-6 years ago, kind of when it was new to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then the kids kind of stopped not wanting to use it. But then with distance learning, it became a tool to really get kids engaged and hear their voices.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have an opinion on, are kids is it like a new group of kids, or have they updated Padlet so that it's got new features? Because they're always looking for the new and the latest. So if you could speak to that, that would be great.
Well, that is a great question. I will say that there's definitely sometimes an inundation of tech tools. And after a while, that bucket is so deep with ideas, we don't remember what's at the bottom, and then it overflows and we kind of lose interest in the stuff that doesn't really stick. Earlier when I was saying Padlet is like a bulletin board, and I thought that I had heard that used to describe another feature, maybe that was it. Maybe that was Padlet 5 years ago. I honestly don't remember. I will say that sometimes what happens is when something is new and this teacher, this brave teacher tries it with those students, maybe the word doesn't quite make it around campus or make it around the state. And something happens, some cataclysmic event happens, like, I don't know, a pandemic. And then everyone's like, oh my gosh, we need a way to get students to ask questions and get students to comment on, what we read last night. And I can see Padlet, at least for our school, really helped us, especially through those first days of, well, our campus is closed, but that doesn't mean school is over. My students are not tired of it yet, but I do try to, this is not Mrs. Goff's only way of presenting information. So at least at our school, it's not something old and tired yet. I do know that, and sometimes this this can be a tricky thing for students to navigate. Mrs. Goff uses Padlets, Mr. Wee uses, Google Slides, someone else uses Notability, someone else uses this, and that is tough too. So I was really, really happy when like the school purchased an account, because that in itself encourages teachers to try it, because you have it and it's free and our tech people know how to answer your questions. So as far as, is it new again and that's why people are using it? That could very well be. I find it incredibly simple to use. I especially like the fact that the difference between my laptop and my iPad screen is minimal. Like I can show students how to do it here and they can do it themselves without wondering, where is that? And it just really helped us out with so many in-person things that we didn't get to do anymore. But I can totally see it being a thing of the past in maybe even a couple of months. Does that answer your question?
Oh, no, yeah, no, much, this is really exciting. I'm not saying that it's old and tired. I just thought, wow, there's like been a resurgence and a new interest. So, I mean, it's really a great tool to get the students, particularly when they're allowed to edit and post videos and things. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're
really
welcome.
Appreciate it.
Of course, no worries. Any other questions, guys? Or shall we scoot from class early? Photobomb. Oh, sorry. I just noticed in the chat, is the free version of Padlet still very limiting to how many Padlets you can create? I believe it is 6. I think the vanilla or the free version of Padlet is 6 Padlets at a time. And what can happen, because I started with my own, I wanted to test it out myself. If you have your own free version and then you find out your school has the backpack as well, you can merge those two. However, if you just want to stick with your free version, I'm pretty sure you can always delete and then make a new one. But another cool thing is, even within, let's see, where's that feature? Even within the Padlet itself, like let's say this class is all done and I want to use this actual same link or whatever for my next iTeach808 thing, I can delete everything. I can take everything off of the bulletin board and make this fresh for my next whatever. So I think the free version is fine. I just happen to use the school's thing because they said I could. Does that answer your question, Lance? As far as all of the things you can do, no. Everything I showed you here, even though I'm in the school's backpack, you can do in the free version. Any other questions, guys? I hope this was useful. Anytime I'm asked to talk, I will take that opportunity. So thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Great. Yes, we want to say thank you to Nicole. You shared lots of great creative ideas for Padlet. Yeah, and we thank you very much, everybody, too, for attending. After the session and the conference is over, you will get an email to fill out an evaluation form. And I understand there's going to be Starbucks gift cards associated with that. So whoop, whoop. Yeah, so let's, say thank you again to Nicole, and everybody have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Thank you guys so much. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you, Jessica, and thank you, Elle. We'll see y'all later. Bye, friends.
Bye.